Hi there, it's Nicole for Ellen Hutson, and this is a card showcasing the Homespun Holiday Stamps and Coordinating Dies, part of the brand new release from the Essentials by Ellen collection. And this is a gorgeous kind of homespun looking holiday card. So super fun. I paired it with the new Believe script die, so pretty. I'm going to start by stamping my images on some Nina Smooth white cardstock using the Misty stamping tool. And I'm doing this because it's going to make it so much easier to stamp these one on top of each other to get really nice crisp black stamped images. I am going to color in my images with some Copic markers. I am using 4 shades of brown, my favorite color combination. I use it a lot for the bag that this little scrawny tree is sitting in. Now, one thing that kind of bothered me as I was coloring this was that the tree branches are all black. And I just kind of didn't like how that was going to go with my whole homespun holiday feel. So once I have all of these images all colored in, I'm going to show you how I fixed that so that I really liked and really ended up loving this tree, because this tree image is probably one of my favorites from the entire release. I just love it. I think it's so cute. I am using only a couple shades for the rest of this. The rest of the images are pretty small, so not a ton of blending is going to be going on. A couple shades of red for the stripes on the candy canes and the cranberries in the popcorn and cranberry garland. Easy coloring. I tried to keep my colors, so I colored all the red items at once. Anything that was going to be red. I colored, anything that was going to be gray together. At least I tried to do that. Makes it easy, makes it quick. For the popcorn, I used YR31 and then just a touch of it. I don't want a ton of color. That's kind of going to be the buttery color, I guess. And then YR0000 to blend that out. So it's really just a touch of color. The white stripes on the candy cane, you don't want to leave them stark white. So I did go in with a little warm gray 00 and 2 and add just a touch of color. Also using warm grays for my dove, I used the YR31 for the beak and a little R00 for the cheek on the bird. Added some little dots for some texture. And then I'm going to take the coordinating homespun holiday dies and tape those in place and die cut those using my Big Shot die cutting machine. One thing I did was I went ahead and die cut as many of the images as I could with one pass of the machine. I'm going to set them aside and go ahead and die cut those remaining 2 candy canes. I tried to keep my embellishments for my tree to a minimum because I want that tree still to take center stage. If you cover it with too many items, you're not going to be able to see it. This is how I fixed my tree so that it doesn't look so stark black. I'm going to simply take the YG97 marker and trace over the lines of the tree with this green Copic marker. I'm not actually doing any Copic coloring per se. It's more just adding a little touch of color. It's going to thicken up all those lines. Definitely get rid of quite so much of the white that's surrounding the tree, and I love how it looks. You can really see it here from the left side that's got the color to the right side that I'm still coloring right now. Makes a big difference, and it really made me love this little homespun holiday scrawny tree. Once I have that done, I'm going to kind of lay out my images, see how it all looks. And I realized I forgot the star for the top of my tree. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp that, add some color with a couple of shades of yellow markers, and die cut that with the coordinating star die. I have a background here. It's already pre-trimmed to 4 inches by 5¼ inches. That's going to leave me a nice little white border when I adhere this to a standard A2 sized card base. And I stamped the greeting from Homespun Holiday on this background with Versamark ink, and I am going to add some Hero Arts white embossing powder to that and then heat set that. One little trick when you're heat setting, I like to heat not only from the front, but the back of the cardstock panel as well. It's going to help with warping. Also, make sure that your heat tool is heated up before you bring it to the paper. That's going to help you minimize warping on your cardstock as well. I'm going to grab a couple of shades of Distress ink now and adhere this to my watercolor background paper. I'm using Festive Berries and Frayed Burlap Distress inks. I wanted to stick with pretty much the same color combination that I used for coloring in my images, so it continues with that homespun holiday feel. Where those two colors meet, I definitely want to work to get a nice seamless blend. That embossed resist is showing up. You can see the greeting really well now that I've applied some ink over it. And I'm also using a scrap piece of paper to keep my fingers out of the ink. This watercolor cardstock has a tendency to show your fingerprint marks if you hold on to it with your fingers while you're inking, because it just stays wet for a little bit longer, and it's distress ink, so it stays wet. I'm going to spritz that with water from a distress sprayer. It's going to wick away some of the ink, and then blot that dry with a paper towel and buff over the embossed area of the greeting to really make it show up and shine. I just added a little water to my Ranger craft mat and cleaned that up as well. I'm going to add even more distressing to the background by taking some antiqued bronze distress paint, watering it down with some water, and then adding droplets of it all over the background with a small paintbrush. If you wanted bigger droplets, use a bigger paintbrush and you're going to get some bigger splatters. I'm going to go ahead and set this aside to air dry now. And then if you watched my Leaping Deer card, I'm going to do the same thing I did for creating that deer by taking some fun foam, applying Stick-It adhesive to both sides. I'm going to run that through my Big Shot to secure the Stick-It to the fun foam really well. I'm going to peel off the backing paper on one side of the Stick-It and adhere my gold foil cardstock scrap, and then die cut that Believe script greeting from this to make a dimensional greeting sticker. This is one of my favorite techniques. I absolutely love it. Before I attach that right above my stamped and embossed greeting, I want to go ahead and assemble my tree so that I make sure and get that exactly where it needs to go. I don't want to put any of these flat images on the dimensional greeting. It'll stick up kind of funny. So I will attach my tree. I'm using Zotz Bling glue dots to attach the elements. I've attached my star. I'm going to attach my popcorn and cranberry garland. Just kind of lay it there, tuck one end underneath one of the branches along the bottom of the tree. So super cute. I love that image. Hang my bird from one of the branches, and then I will hang the 3 candy canes as well. Again, I kept my embellishments on the tree to a minimum so that it didn't cover up the entire tree. I still want some of those branches to be visible, and I felt like if I added too many ornaments, I was going to lose the tree in the design. So now I'm going to carefully peel out the Believe greeting. You just want to work gently. It's so delicate anyway. If you just cut this from plain cardstock, it's so delicate. So I always recommend just kind of go gently. And then I'm going to pop out any of those little inside pieces with a piercing tool. They stick, especially since I used an adhesive here on the back. I think they kind of stick anyway. They're so teeny tiny. So I like to use like a piercing tool. You could maybe even use a stylus or a straight pin, something like that, to poke all of those out. And then I'm going to carefully lay that down and just gently press it in place right above my stamped and embossed greeting. Once that's down, I need to grab the little dot for the eye and Believe. I'm going to use my piercing tool to just pick that up, lay that down in place, push the adhesive down. And then I attached this whole panel to a top fold card base, and I'll finish with a scattering of pretty pink Posh Sparkling Clear and gold metallic sequins. I layered a couple of them. I'm using the 10mm, 6mm, and 4mm size of sparkling clear, and then the 4mm of the metallic gold. Didn't add a ton of these, just a few to add a little sparkle, shine, and embellishment. I'm attaching them all with the Zotz Bling glue dots. I love these. There's no liquid glue mess. They're the perfect size for attaching sequins to your cards. And that is going to finish up this homespun holiday themed Christmas card. Thanks for joining me today for these new stamps and dies, part of the Essentials by Ellen holiday release. Please be sure to check out the entire release. There are links on my blog that showcase all of the fantastic new products. The supplies I've used to create this card are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Here are a couple more cards showcasing Essentials by Ellen stamps and dies that you might be interested in. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.